I'd like to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Padmashree Dr. Sanjay Dhande. Dr. Sanjay Dhande is an Indian engineer and educationist. He was a director with IIT Kanpur and was in charge of Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management in Gwalior. Dr. Dhande was founder director of PDPM, Indian Institute of Information Technology Design and Manufacturing at Jabalpur. He served as a part-time director of TRI, and he was also member of the Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India. Dr. Dhande has worked in the field of computer-aided design, rapid prototyping, rapid tooling, and reverse engineering. Autolay, an innovative CAD technology that he developed for the Indian Aeronautical Development Agency, is used by the several aircraft manufacturers around the world, and for the construction of light combat aircraft in India. He has been assisting the Indian government in preparing the vision documents and charters for the Indian Institutes of Science for Education and Research, that is ISER, at Pune and Kolkata. He was honored with Padmashree in 2013 and is currently the founder and director of Mahindra Ecole Central College in Hyderabad, Engineering College in Hyderabad. I now request our Vice President and President to welcome Dr. Dhande.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you,
I now request Dr. Dhande to take over.
Well, thank you very much, Hemant and his colleagues. I am truly honored to be here with you today. And it reminds me, after the preliminary comments about my journey as a person in the digital world for last almost 35, 40 years. I still remember the days when we used to have the unit record rooms and the computer programs were made on punched cards, and you have to make sure that the punch cards are punched properly, and to get one run a day was considered as a very good luck for you. If you get 2 runs a day, then it is very good. The key that we never used very frequently was called as the backspace key. And today you will find that if I put a rule that you shall not use the backspace key, I'm sure many of you will be very out of place actually in some sense. So from those days, I must say that we have come a long way in terms of marrying the bits and atoms. This is a very fascinating journey. I was always fascinated in terms of how computer graphics and computer-aided design was helping the society, the industry. When I came here, I used to be a consultant to Telco in those days. Now it is called Tata Motors. And when I showed that the computers can draw pictures, somebody was so suspicious that he thought that I am doing some black magic or something like that. So mathematical modeling and graphical rendering was considered as a very big breakthrough in terms of digital world. There are many, many such stories that come to my mind today, but I will not go through them. But I must tell you a couple of things, actually. The first one is that I was associated with the Media Lab at MIT, and Sandy Pentland and Neil Gershenfeld and myself, we started working on how digital world can help India. This was almost 20 years back. I think we were ahead of the society in some sense. But truly speaking, what we are seeing today, I must say that we had envisioned about 20 years back. One of the ideas, and I must say that how academicians can be really adventurous in terms of ideation, was that we decided, can there be a balloon wherein instead of the signals going to the satellite and then coming down, you can use the balloon and then do the reflection and collect the signals. Sandy Pentland was involved in the discussions, and he went back to MIT, got a doctoral student. The fellow worked on this whole project, and today the Tune project of Google is something which is happening around the world. As a matter of fact, when they decided to do it in India, I wrote to Sandy Pentland and he said, yes, it was thought when we were having that meeting over a cup of coffee. So what I mean to say is that there are many such, by being, I don't know how many of you know, but the first ever license of Wi-Fi was given in my personal name in this country. And this was the early times. Believe it or not, the fellow of the government of India who was to issue the license did not know Wi-Fi. So I took a lecture and I explained to him. And he says, oh, this is the license you want. So there is something called as WPC, the Wireless Protocol Committee, a very dangerous place actually. So this consists of all the secretaries and so on. And the secretary of the MCIT took me over there, and all these people, some military fellows, and they were constantly sniping at me, saying that we cannot issue a license to you because it will be a compromise of the Indian security. And I was trying to tell them that this is something which I'm trying to do as an academic experiment in a village. From the fields in the villages, we tried to connect it through the hops to the base in IIT, and from there we were uploading it. Oh, believe it or not, to get that license, I had to work very hard around the whole of government of India at that time, actually. So many things happened in between. I'm very happy to see that this whole story of Digital India has now come in a big way. I was a member of TRAI, as it was mentioned, and believe it or not, during those 3 years, the license went, the number of people holding mobile phones went from something like 25-30 million to 300 and 400 million. And that is because the policies were so restrictive in those days that only people in Bombay and Delhi will be using the mobile phones. The rest of the country, there used to be a fund called USO fund. That means extra money will be charged to people in Bombay, Delhi, extra money will be taken from them and be used to develop the mobile network in other parts of the country. Then obviously the policies changed and we became one of the fastest growing, and today we have got more than 1,000 million mobile phones. The smartphone smartphones came along, and then we see now what a wonderful revolution that we have. But again, in those days when we were working in TRAI, every step, the change was being opposed by vested interest, by government, by many people actually. So what I'm trying to say here is that change is not very easy. Digital India is not going to be very easy. I can tell you from my own experience that any change of Digital India that you will try to make has to be fought. You know, there's DBT, the Direct Benefit Transfer. The scheme was introduced by the Department or Ministry of Petroleum, and it was withdrawn. If you remember that it was suspended for some 6 or 7 months because there were a lot of problems and so on and so forth. Then the government appointed a committee, and unfortunately the Joint Secretary was my student, and he said, you are the chairman of the committee, to assess whether the DBT is really correct or not, and should it be not improved upon, and if we have to reintroduce it, then will it be, what are the things we have to do? So I went around the length and breadth of the country, from south to north to east and west, and listened to all the people. And people were furious, saying that, why the hell you want it? I just want my cylinder at 400 rupees, period. Nothing more, nothing less. And then we were trying to explain to them that how much is the pilferation. There are unions, the unions of the people who deliver the cylinders were dead opposed to the DBT, and many aspects of it. Finally, I concluded that this scheme is not at all a bad scheme. The scheme is perfect. It's the implementation which is very important. And if you take care of this, then the implementation will also be successful. The report was submitted when this government took over, and the first day, the first meeting of the minister was with me to hand over the report. And I was almost sure that my report will be thrown in the dustbin and nothing will happen, I mean, sort of, you know. But, because it happens with many reports actually. So, but it is so surprising for me to see that not only that got implemented very successfully, but today all of us around the room will understand that DBT is indeed a wonderful scheme for for empowering the last person in our society, if we implement it properly. So what I'm trying to say again and again is that conceiving, designing the digital world is far easier, implementing it is far more difficult. And I would like to caution everyone around here that please ensure that the implementation of the digital world is a far bigger challenge than the design and the development in the laboratories of the digital world. I worked with the railways and we tried to introduce all the modern technology. Today you will find that there is somebody who has a big tongue, and then he goes around the railway station when your train is standing, he will go hitting it, tong, tong, tong. You know why he is hitting the wheels? Because his ears are trained to figure out that that wheel is defective or not. Now this is done by hitting the wheel actually. If you are in a foggy situation as it happens in northern India, the railway station master will ask somebody to light a mashal at one end, and if he can see the mashal from the other end, there is no fog. You know, these are the kind of very outdated and archaic methods used in the railways. And today we are looking at ETCS 1, ETCS 2. If you look at the train control systems, today the biggest implementation of the digital world, if at all we can do it, it will be in the Indian Railways. It has tremendous potential in signaling, in safety, in security, in energy conservation. Unfortunate part of it is that developing the solutions is one aspect, implementing them is another aspect. In India, we have got a very supreme body, the invisible body called Railway Board, you know, and that Railway Board is the most dangerous body. They will not let anything happen. If you go with a change scheme, it will be considered, no, it's not good, because we have to get it from America, we have to get it from Germany, we have to get it from Japan. Then they are very happy, because then there is no risk. But if a professor from an IIT does it, no, we can't trust it actually, sort of. You know. So what I'm trying to say is, please ensure that design and development of the digital world is one aspect. The implementation is also very important. The second thing that I want to mention here is that the digital world, if you try to understand, that we live in an analog world. So please understand that this interface between the analog and the digital world is a far more important aspect as compared to the rest of the processing of the digital world. And therefore, to me, the first layer of any digital world is the sensors. And again, in this area, we are very weak. There is no enough development that has happened. And the world is moving very fast in terms of variety of micro MEMS, that is, we call it as micro electrical mechanical device, electromechanical devices. Nanotechnology has come in a big way to develop the sensors. And the sensors are the most critical element as a part of the digital world. They sense the analog world. And then we have to convert that analog signal into a digital signal. Again, this, I won't go into the details of it, but I'm clear that this conversion from analog to digital and the question of noise and the question of error, all these aspects have been studied by the scientists and researchers very well. But once you convert it into a digital signal, the second aspect is the transmission of that signal. And fortunately, because of this enormous development in the wireless communication, we are able to now transmit. I can run my program here and cut the job in a machine in Jamshedpur, or for that matter, anywhere in the world. So you will find that transmission of information is also very successful. That is the second step. The third one is, of course, the processing of the information, and which again, we have the variety of techniques, the logics, the algorithms, and many aspects, and we continue to go back and forth. I remember the days when artificial intelligence was a very hot area. It went down, and all of a sudden now everybody is into artificial intelligence. Robotics, for instance, I remember the strikes of the banks. When the banks were introduced with automation and robotics, we conducted a conference in IIT Kanpur in '84, and the president of Hitachi came, and the police came to me, and they said, no, this robotics is a very anti-labor issue, and please keep your conference low-key, and don't go to the media about the robotics conference. So what I'm trying to say is that there are social concerns, and some of the topics of processing will go up and down. That happens in many areas. Today, for instance, you will find a new breakthrough in artificial intelligence will bring that topic to the front rather than to the back burner. So the processing area is the third step. And the fourth one is actuation. And this is also where, again, back into the analog world, that you convert your digital signals into the physical world. And this aspect of converting your digital information into the physical world is also another challenge that we have to continue to address in many issues. Whether it is a question of your washing machine, or whether it is a question of a machine tool, or whether it is a question of any big financial system, you will find ultimately the interface with the physical world from your digital world is very important. So from analog to digital to physical world, these are the kind of three worlds which are getting integrated in this digital form. To me, each component of it is equally important. If you just look at one of them and don't look at the others, it will be dangerous. In India, we are very good at processing the information, so it's only the third step that we look at it. But we don't look at the first step, we don't look at the fourth step. And to me, it is very important that when we talk about the digital world, it should be the first and the fourth. There are a lot of information systems, and so your young colleague from Deloitte, when we were talking, I was trying to understand, they were telling me about the financial information systems. And I must tell you that the academicians hate the tribe of auditors, because the auditors of Government of India will harass us like anything, actually, sort of, you know. And we have these sponsored projects of variety of agencies. I was a Dean R&D, and we had an automated system. And at the end of the financial year, to get the next year's grant, you have to give the certificate. So if the certificate shows positive balance, then the grant will not be released, because they will suspend that first. If the certificate shows negative balance, then the grant will be released. And I became the dean, and they said, "Sir, इसमें क्या है? Negative करना है? No problem. खाली जरा इसका balance negative करके दे दो." I was shocked. I said, "How can this happen? I mean, Khali can decide positive or negative balance. What is the reality?" And to me, manipulation of the systems, information systems, is a very dangerous thing. Whether it is financial, I don't know, academic, I used to be sleepless in many ways that I hope my grades that we are giving to the students are not being tempered. Because there are stories that, oh, the clerk in that academic section, you give him some rupees and then he will convert your grade. In India, this can happen, I mean, sort of, you know. But I used to be scared of this. I said that if this happens, it's the end of academics as far as IIT Kanpur is concerned. So what I'm trying to say is that every technology is a double-edged sword. And the negative part or the dangerous part of the digital world is also the safety and the security of it. And this aspect, I'm very happy that this particular gathering is going to discuss. I don't think the solutions are yet very clear. Some of us do suffer from it. And I have now understood that particularly in the financial frauds, what is happening is the following. And this is from my personal experience that I'm telling you, that the financial world is controlled by RBI. RBI has no clue about the information systems. And the information system world is controlled by some other people. The telecom world is controlled by some department of telecommunications. So each is a silo, and we don't have interfaces. If there is a fraud because of the telephone and the bank account, there is an interface that is required. Nobody knows what is the interface. And today, let me tell you, most of the hacksters, most of the fraudsters have understood that the interfaces are the weakest link in the digital world. If they crack the interface. And today, we don't have proper authorities, proper responsibilities, proper technologies of interfaces. If the financial world and the telecom world have a body which understands how to ensure the fact that the data is transferred securely to the mobile phone, and if it doesn't happen, these are the protocols which have to be used. Unfortunately, that was not there. I just read in the newspapers that now it is, the RBI has established a committee. Hopefully, the committee will come with some good report and something will happen. The second aspect, is the addressing of the frauds in the security world. Now, again, by my own example, I won the case in the Bombay level adjudicating officer, and then obviously the parties went to the high. So there is a tribunal, appellate tribunal in Delhi. And can you believe for last 2.5 to 3 years, they have not appointed a judge in the tribunal. So I go there after every 1 month, 1.5 months, and there is no hearing. So like that Sunny Deol dialogue, तारीख पे तारीख, मेरी भी हालत वही है कि मेरे को तारीख पे तारीख मिलती है, मैं जाता हूँ, वर्मा जी कहते हैं, सर आप आ गए बहुत अच्छा है, मगर अभी कोई है नहीं यहाँ, मतलब, so Verma ji and myself. So this aspect of fixing the problems of the digital world in a jurisprudence is very important. There is only one inspector in the whole of Pune to take care of all the cyber crimes. When I went there, he was saying, हाँ ठीक है, अब 2-3 साल लगेंगे आपको, मतलब, and I was furious at that time, actually, sort of. So what I'm trying to say is that you just can't convert the society into a digital world. Is your administration, is your policing, is your jurisprudence, is your other systems are rising up to that occasion? If it is not so, you will find that we will be a digital chaos and not a digital world, actually. I can guarantee you that the amount of people, they're running from pillar to post like me. And people are going around, and there are simple people who have lost the money, there are simple people who have been cheated out, and they have nowhere to go. And the only thing that happens is that the lawyers have a very field day. I mean, sort of, So the lawyers are good. I have nothing against them because there is a lawyer for me also. But I would say that don't go in one direction too fast. Take care of the other aspects of the society. Digital world and digital society will not happen unless these aspects are also integrated along with it, actually. I hope at your society, which also looks at the information systems as well as on the security side, I would like to say that please look at the interfaces, please look at it in a holistic manner so that the society, whatever you gain, there are a couple of things. Now today when I book the cylinder, it's a very safe and the cylinder comes. If it is passport, I must say that I got my passport in Pune now after a long number of years in UP. And the way the passport processing happened, I was quite impressed. So there are things that are happening in a very successful manner, not that they are not happening. But we must be good at detailing. We must be good at taking care of all the things that we may go wrong. And we must be also good at interfacing with the physical world. Thank you very much.